Hello, calling the Netherlands. We have Gabriele Chiave there from Moooi in Amsterdam, and we have Joost van Bleijswijk from Kiki and Joost in Eindhoven. Hi, first of all, Gabriele. Can you hear me?
Yes, hello. Hello, Marcus. Hello, everyone.
How are you doing? So
very good.
Dezeen's Virtual Design Festival has teamed up with Moooi today to help you launch 2 new products. There's the Hubble Bubble lamp by Marcel Wanders studio, which Gabriele, you've been involved in, and Tinkering, Joost van Bleijswijk's new lamp. First of all, Gabriele, tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do? Where are you at the moment, and how are things going?
Hello everyone. I'm Gabriele Chiave. I'm calling from Amsterdam. Welcome you in my home, where we're going to see the product later. I'm here since 14 years in Marcel Wanders studio, and I work with Marcel since 14 years. Nowadays, I'm creative director with him. Therefore, I oversee all the projects with Marcel, whether it's interior design, product design, art direction, and all the creative output the studio does. And therefore, of course, I work with Moooi also since 13 years together with Marcel for our own products, but also sometimes overseeing also a few other products of friends and designers. And today you will see the new developments of this technology that we started, I think 10 years ago in the studio, which is very interesting still today.
Great. Well, we'll have a look at that in just a moment. Going over to Eindhoven. Joost, how are you doing?
Hi. Welcome in the studio. So, yeah, we're here to talk about my new lamp from Moooi, just launched a couple of days ago. I'm happy to tell a little bit more about it. We're standing here in our new studio. We just built it last year, and I can show you a little bit around over here. So what we mainly do here is we design, but also make all the limited edition designs and prototypes for also brands like Moooi.
And tell us a little bit about yourself and particularly your studio, because the last time I saw you was on that very rainy day. Do you remember in October?
Yeah.
Came into your new place, which wasn't quite finished then. But tell us a little bit about where you are and who you are and what you do.
So, yeah, I live in Eindhoven already since the 90s, did a design academy here, and we got a little bit stuck. So that means me and Kiki, my wife, and we work together, but not really as a design couple, but more, we work in the same studio. We help each other on different things, but we both have our own collections. We both have our own clients, but we like to share our knowledge and view on things. So we work here together in a new build studio. Last year, we completely renovated an existing part. That's what you see over there. It's more black and white. And we added a wooden part to it, completely constructed out of Douglas wood. And of course, completely sustainable with solar panels and self-supporting, things like that. And we work here with a maximum of about 10 to 12 people. That's our lunch table capacity. So we don't want to grow further than that, to be expressive and creative and to create nice things we like.
Great. And is the project finished yet? Is the studio complete yet?
We have to, put the little dots on the I, but yeah, most of it is sort of done. The Corona, didn't help with finishing the whole studio, but we're nearly there.
Great. And back to you, Gabriele. So you work with Marcel Wanders, who is obviously a creative director and co-founder of Moooi. So tell us a little bit about the studio you work in and how many people you have there and how much of your work is for Moooi and how much of your work is for other projects.
Well, as you know, Marcel founded, of course, the studio 30 years ago and Moooi almost 20 years ago. And so the studio is basically a separate entity. And we work with Moooi and for Moooi as a client, as any other client like Alessis or KLM or several other clients in the product department. The studio also works a lot in hospitality and interior design, and in art direction, limited edition. And sometimes of course, the studio Marcel does also the art direction with Moooi, although it's more internal to Moooi. So the beautiful thing is that Moooi is our sister company. It's part of the same group, although it has a different kind of entity. And the beautiful thing is that we share certain traces of the same DNA, of course, because it comes from the same father in a way. And with Moooi has been an amazing path for the last 13 years. And today we'll see a few of the projects. And I think it's a very special relation, of course, we have with them. Although, as I said, the studio really has, as Moooi has probably other 25 clients that we work with, and that's kind of the comparison on how we do it. We're around 50 people in the studio nowadays. We have a product department, interior department, and graphic department, and we all work cross depending on the project that comes in. So that's a bit how it works and how the company is structured.
Great, and the new product from the studio is called Hubble Bubble. I think you've got a little movie to show us. Let's have a look at the movie, and then we can talk about...
Lovely, lovely.
Misschien kan we zo iets een beetje kantelen naar beneden. Dan zie je iets meer van de tafel. Als hier nog verder bukken. Misschien niet zo goed.
Voila.
Okay, so it's a light that's got bubbles on it. Tell us a little bit more. Tell us about the design process of this, the concept, and how it works.
It's a bit of sparkling bubble lamp. So it's very important to highlight that, of course, the electro sandwich, as you see in these pieces, is a technology that that started 10 years ago in the studio. With Marcel, we were seeing few projects from external designers in the studio, and then there was this kind of typical, electrical way of bringing cables. So big tubes, electrical cable inside, and therefore at a certain point, a lamp had 20 tubes arriving to the end of the design. So discussing, designing, at a certain point, we thought, why don't we just take out the cables? And why don't we just invent a structure that really magically will bring electricity to our LEDs? And so it was a really big research and trials and tests and trials, because, when you design maybe a chair or a spoon, you kind of sketch what you will see. In such a innovating with technology in the lighting industry is a bit more difficult. So creating this new coating system, so it's a coating of multiple layers, in order to just make the cables disappear was very challenging with the welding and so on. So one of the first lamps that we adapted the technology to is the Heraclium, which you can kind of see there. And of course, technology for us in the studio, what we believe in the studio is that instead of explaining to the mind, we want to speak to the soul. We like to use technology, but in a secret way. We like to be engineers, but secretly, to be poet, but secret engineering, to use technology to make magic things, to make people surprised. So if you see what is the result of this technology, it's really creating so very thin, beautiful, pure items that brings light to ends, which makes the poetic approach of this technology. So after a few years, we designed more objects based on the same technique. A space frame, which is another lamp we have in Moooi, and that we designed with the studio. And nowadays, we're very happy because the Hubble Bubble, going now to the Hubble Bubble, is amazing, because the concept comes really to what normally we do in the studio, to look at the past. And when we do interior design, we look to the heritage of the cultures and societies where the hotel is. But when we do design, we look at more the collective memory, the beautiful memories that each one of us has in their life and in their past. And of course, as the name says, Hubble Bubble, the concept was creating to recreate this magic moment when we were kids. And at a certain point, you had someone blowing those soap bubbles, and they were all just flying around and flying away, and you would be just a happy memory. You would run against these bubbles. So that's the core concept. And if you see the lamp these bubbles are just flying in the space, and then there is this metal ring, which is an electro sandwich technique. So it's a very flat metal rim, which also reminds of the circles where the bubbles are blown out. And this ring at a certain point magically traps the bubbles around. So I want to do a little magic also trick beside the magical innovation. I want to show you in the space in my house how the lamp looks like. And now if I
you have one there.
I have one there, which now is going to appear magically. So we have in this composition, we have 3 circles, because there are 2 small ones and a big one. And of course, they are really placed in this place, which is a bit modern, of course, with loft. They're placed in a very different position. So it really recreates this cloud of bubbles. They are just trapped in time because of our memory, and trapped in space because fixed in this way. And the beautiful part also is that these rings can really be placed in horizontal, vertical way. So it really creates a very organized or a very random type of placement of the lamp itself. And of course, you can't see it very well from far, but if you see the beauty of the bulb itself, this is the one which I was speaking about, with this iridescent glass with a white part inside, which really reminds us a bit of those bubbles that you would be so happy to see in when you were a kid. And that's how in the studio we try to uplift the human spirit, to bring happiness in our design, to bring beauty, to connect to our past, because for us the past is important to create the future. You can't ignore our memories, you can't ignore tradition, craftsmanship for creating the future. So that's in a nutshell what the concept is about. And of course, I think it's also the technology, which is very complex, makes us do something very simple. And sometimes something which looks very simple is really not easy to achieve, and it takes a lot of time. And therefore, I believe that it's just bubbles in the air and ring. It could really fit any kind of interiors. I mean, we do interiors. I could see it very well in a countryside house as much as in a palace, or as much as in a modern place as this one. So that's in a nutshell the concept of.
So the product has a number of these light sources mounted on a ring. And what is the ring made of? Is that steel?
It's a steel metal. It's a steel ring. I'll show you again if you, unfortunately, it's a bit far. It's a steel ring of 3 centimeters, very, very flat. So you sometimes disappears when you see it in some perspective. And of course, it's coated with these few layers of coating, which brings the electricity. So there are 3 cables are going to the ring, only fine cables, and the ring is electrified. So you can put the bubbles inside or outside. There are 3 sizes of glass bubbles. So you can really place them, but not free on the ring because the LEDs are placed in a certain position, but you can decide to have all the bubbles outside big and small. And then you can also, which is interesting, is held by 3 cables. So it can really take any position in space. You can use it standing straight vertical against a wall, or just one flat against on top of the table. So it's really versatile. I mean, it's really beautiful because again, with Moooi, we can just manage to do such projects, and it's very near to the studio. Because I think that the kind of happy project we do with Moooi, also the fact that the lamps we design with Moooi are always very able to own the space, to have a presence, to own it aesthetically, but also to own it physically in the way you can build them, whether it's vertical or horizontal, put them together in a cluster. So I think this lamp succeeds very well to achieve this.
And this electro sandwich technology that you were talking about, that's been used in lots of projects, right? In fact, I think I can see one behind you that uses the same technology. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the first one that it's called the Heracleum lamp. First one, and it took 3 years to do because you have to weld all the bars of metal, then you have to coat, and of course if the coat cracks a little bit, then the electricity doesn't go. And further to that, we had to study power LED that could, and also the length of the coating you couldn't achieve a lamp of 2 meters because then electricity would get loose. So today we achieved a much better technology. And we did another lamp from the studio, which is Space Frame, which is a kind of very straight platform that looks a bit like a satellite with a lot of little lamps on top. And today they were always in bars, so little tubes, rods. And nowadays we introduce a new way of doing it, which is this flat metal sheet, which will bring to further new innovative designs, because it opens up doors to a very different way of thinking on how to place the LEDs on top. And Joost also will speak about the lamp later, but he's also a lucky designer that made a design using this technology, which is pretty cool, because of course it's not it's something that we use only in Moooi, which is very fun and very new and very magic. Again, for us, technology is very important to use it in a silent and poetic way, which is what we did in all these projects.
And the electro sandwich technology, is that something that's patented? Is it something that you own and only you can use?
We have, it's not patented, it's electro sandwich, it's kind of registered with Moooi, but it's not a patent. But finally, it's only, until today, we always use it with the studio, because with Marcel, we came up with the thinking of this. So that's why I think it's in Moooi, is powered by Marcel Wanders, and even if other designers use it. And now we're opening up, I guess, for also other designers within Moooi to use the technology, because it's an amazing technology. There's a lot of way of interpretation of coating. When we were studying this technology, and until 2 years ago, we would go out from the studio and we would go and find any crap of piece of metal, like, you know, the supermarket trolleys or blades or stuff that we would bring in the studio, and we would try to coat them, because any metallic piece of whatever, even crap, could be an amazing, beautiful lamp with LEDs attached to it. So there was a lot of experimentation on coating metal pieces and finding the beauty also on things that normally they kind of lost their identity, and bring it back to this technology, make them beautiful again. So it was very, very fun. And it is still very fun in the studio this year. Before also doing this one, we worked for a year trying to get rings and metal bars, and also welding in the studio and so on. So it's a fun technology to experiment with, and it's very magical, because people, they see just a very thin, fine ring with bubbles attached, and it's just like, you know, how that happens. It's beautiful.
And I know from speaking to Marcel and also Casper, the original co-founder, that lots of brands have problems with other companies copying their designs. But with Moooi, it was always, let's make the designs as difficult to copy as possible by making them really super intelligent, use technology, and very sophisticated. But also now you've introduced this thing called the button, which is a way of ensuring that people know they're getting an original Moooi product.
Yeah.
So tell me a bit about that. And presumably this new product has that in it as well.
I would love to show you. I'll just make like, if I take it out of the lamp and have it here. So this is a little button, as you call it. It looks very simple. It looks very little plastic button. However, is a little technological genius and friend, because it's something, and I'm very proud that Moooi did this, because it's basically a button that it's attached to any piece of Moooi, whether it's a lamp or is a sofa or is a, and there's been a lot of developments in order to have it. And basically what happens that each piece has this, and it's his own digital ID. So basically each piece comes with this. With your phone, you can just scan it. And as soon as it touches the phone, it appears, of course, the registration number, the fact that it's an original piece, it's an original Moooi piece. So it can't be counterfeit, because it's really connected with a certain technology numbers to the Moooi system. And it's a beautiful way of, you know, a lot of companies, as you said, they fight counterfeits, which is good, but it's a fight. So Moooi is not trying to fight it, because it's also kind of not useless, but it's difficult. But they celebrate authenticity, which is a positive way of fighting the same topic, but in a very beautiful way, supporting designers, supporting Moooi, supporting consumers that they know that, you know, you have an original piece. So, well, thanks for Moooi for doing this, because I believe it's also nice for designers like us to be supported by a company in such a way.
And if you own a Moooi product and you have this button on your product, you can scan it. And what happens if you hold up your phone to it?
Let me see if I can do that, because I think I already scanned it, but I can quickly show you. They have a Moooi app with a button, as you can see. Authentic. I need to see if it's already been scanned. Ready to scan. I think this is already scanned. But anyway, you scanned it here on the phone. Place button on. Yeah, this has been already scanned. I'm sorry for that. But as soon as you scan it, the page appears and shows you all your certificates with the serial number of the product, with your with everything, how it's done and so on, and it's connected to the system, the technological system of Moooi that's certified that this is an original product. And each piece has, sometimes in the sofas we just stitch it as a little button. The lamp has it on the cable behind the ring. So it's a very cool thing, and it looks very simple, but it took quite some time to develop a non copyable kind of system. So if you have the button, you're sure you have a Moooi piece, and there's no way that they can counterfeit this.
Great. Well, let's now go over to Eindhoven and speak to Joost again.
Hi.
Hey there, Joost.
Hi.
So you're launching a new light as well for Moooi, which is called Tinkering. Before you start to talk to us about the light, should we see the movie about the product?
Yeah, let's do that.
So there'll be a little bit of a delay because we put quite a long intro on the movie, but don't worry, it is working.
There it is.
Cool.
Yeah, applause for the makers of this little movie. I really like it.
So first of all, great movie. But the name Tinkering, that I suspect that has something to do with your approach to designing products. Is that right?
Yeah, it is, because tinkering is something that's very important, you know, throughout my whole life. Maybe my father was a teacher in arts at a high school. So around the house, there were always pieces of wood and clay. And so I could, you know, really create anything I liked when I was younger. And when I went to the design academy here in Eindhoven, I really found the right spot to work on something, you know, a design, a product, something really, something you could use, but at the same time, you could be really expressive and actually make things. And for me, it stayed really important throughout the years. So when Kiki and I graduated about 20 years ago already, the first thing we did is try to look for a location to have a sort of workshop. With the first own money, we bought an electrical screwdriver and a jigsaw just to be able to start creating. And I remember, you know, every project we did, we could invest a little bit in the workshop and make something new and bigger and buy some more professional equipment. And it really paid off in the sense that I'm able now to create almost anything I like. And if we can do it over here, we have other companies to work together, for example, for laser cutting or CNC cutting. We don't own those machines. but I also like to do things in a very low-tech way, which can later on be developed in maybe a high-tech way. So also, for example, the tinkering lamp, it's just about, taking some pieces of metal and be very honest, just with, soldering some pieces together, which are very, you're not sure yet what it's going to be, but you're creating some images and you think like, oh, it can be something. And then I started to create these little lamps like these. So they're little lamps with just one LED in there. And I just created a whole bunch of those, like 10 different kinds. And I really like the fact that, you can create anything, a lot of different things in your own workshop by just, putting some metal together. And whenever I done that, and it was really low tech with wiring still inside, and I thought, okay, this could be also something for a bigger suspension light. And we needed a big table lamp for our house. So we have a big table there of almost 3 meters. So I just started to create with these pieces of metal, very long lamp, which of course was a hassle with wiring and making all these caps. But those were very, very low tech, just made from a little sheet of metal, just bent, and it's just very honest, made in the workshop. But the result was very, honest in a sort of architectural way. And so I showed it to Moooi, and they really liked the product. So we could develop it further, and especially with the electro sandwich, which was perfect because the wiring was quite a problem in this lamp. It was almost impossible. So the electro sandwich really gave the opportunity to be really expressive and to make these shapes without the problems of the wiring. So.
All right, so the electro sandwich technology kind of saved the project in a way then, because that's something you hadn't really thought about, or just?
No,
but I'll worry about that later.
Well, if you make something for yourself, you only have to look at yourself to your own design. But I was planning to do some, one-offs or bespoke items for some people. And then you can get away with these kind of wiring issues. But if you do it in a more product kind of way, I think it's impossible. So this was really maybe the saver of this lamp. Yeah.
And you have one of the lamps somewhere in the studio. Do you want to go and?
Yeah, we can run upstairs, and because we have quite a big space, I can show you around. It might be a little bit with some shock, but so this is actually one of the smaller version. And it's just a frame of it without any coating or any of the final caps on it. So they are just attached, anywhere. I'll show you the bigger one upstairs. So here you see a little bit of the studio. So this is the wooden part we built, and there's more the mechanical workshop. And we do a lot of other projects also, like, this is still secret, but I run upstairs.
Again?
1 sec.
It again?
Sorry?
Can we see the secret thing again?
Oh yeah, I can show you from here.
Not a secret anymore.
No, not really, but well, you don't know what it is. So it's more our office space. So there's Kiki. Kiki, wave.
Hey, Kiki, hi. How are you?
So, and here we have the final one.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's really nice. So, and it's actually nice. You can, move these things up and down. So you can, point your light the way you like. And it's very, very good lighting.
So you didn't design this with Moooi in mind, but how did the conversation with Moooi come about then? How did this product end up being a Moooi product?
So I think the nice thing of Moooi is that they always try to find these projects that are typically Moooi, but they don't know in advance what's typically Moooi. So they're very open-minded, and they look for these, outspoken pieces that can also be quite commercial. When I make a project, I never think about the commercial aspects of it. I just create something I really like. But of course, I think it's really handy that Moooi does. So that's a good combination.
And how long did it take for the product to become a production-ready piece? Did they have to do much re-engineering? Did they have to do much rethinking about it and the manufacturing?
I think this was a really quick one. I showed it to Marcel about 1.5 years ago during the Dutch Design Week. And yeah, now we're here. So it's about 1.5 years. I think for Moooi standards, that's quite quick to develop and launch a product, because you can order it, it's fully available. So yeah.
And it's not the first time you've worked with Moooi. Tell us about your relationship with the brand and what you like about working with them.
Yeah, I think it's nice to work with a brand because you can develop something, you know, more than doing it in your workshop. So we have limited things we can do with our machines and limited things we can do with our production. So what we do is we make these bespoke items and the more art pieces. But if you develop something a bit more, especially if you're gonna cast elements or do some things, for example, with these electro sandwich, you know, you really need production and you need more turnover to make it happen. And that's really nice to work together with a brand on those things. And
sorry, carry on. Yeah.
Yeah. So with Moooi, we have a long relationship. I remember Kiki had a carpet in the collection back in 2004 already, and so you know we obviously know each other, and we try to find ways to work together. And then I made this construction lamp. I think it was 2013. Then we launched a series of cabinets, which unfortunately is now out of the collection because of production issues. And now this lamp.
And how involved do you get once you've shown the design and they said, and Moooi says, yes, we want to produce this light? Do you then stay involved and visit the factories and so on and so forth, or do you hand your baby over and you're happy?
No, yeah, I like to be very involved in it. So Breda is the headquarters, so it's only 40 minutes away. So I jump in my car and we discuss the issues. There was, for example, one issue that I thought was really important to, for example, have not an electricity wire to the ceiling. So normally here on the top, you would have a plus minus cable going to the ceiling, and I absolutely didn't want it. So they did a lot of effort in taking the two suspension cables into the plus and the minus, which was technically challenging, but I'm really happy that they did it. And of course, with the whole layout of the lamp was my involvement as well.
And Gabriele, Joost has described his design approach as a tinkering approach, you know, playing around with bits of metal in the workshop. What about you? Do you have a design approach? Is there a Marcel Wanders studio design approach or a Gabriele Chiave design approach? Do you sketch, write? How do you
well, you know, I think that, of course, the sketching, writing, the 3D, the modeling. I think I love to be a generalist. I really love not to be a specialist. I love to be a generalist. In the studio, we work with so many different industries, with so many different companies from 700 years old, from the Baccarat, Barro Vietoso. We work with KLM, which is an airline. We work with cosmetic company in Japan. We work from really Target, really mainstream products to very like limited edition pieces. So what I love in what we do in the studio is the diversity. Variety, it's one of the most amazing thing, I believe, not just in design, but in humankind and in societies, in different societies. So I think what I love is to learn from all these experts. When I work with crafts of 250 years ago from crystal, and I work with other companies that has expertise, which is an amazing technology, and I can just learn from all these like little boxes, and I can connect dots, and that's the most beautiful thing of how we do projects. We love learning, and I loved mostly learning in all these years and in the studio to work with such amazing talents and minds and craftsmanship and different companies of technology, which enriches the way you see design, enriches the way how you do design, how you bring your vision and your creation to as much people as possible. So in a way, that's how we see things there.
And how has the current situation altered the way that you will launch products? I mean, obviously we're helping you now to get this product out into the world, but actually Moooi has for a long time now changed its approach to product launches, right? Instead of doing it all in one massive show, you've got a strategy of doing them throughout the year and pushing them directly to your
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit more.
Well, I think that Moooi, since like 2 years already, decided, you know, the first Moooi shows in Corona with the huge space and the big pictures. It was amazing. But it wasn't really a lot of investment, but also like of stress and like effort to each year has to go to Milano and each year has to overperform. And, you know, and also it was a bit of like against the industry because each time you have to run to be ready with products that might need more time to develop and so on. So Moooi decided at a certain point to spread the efforts and not to just follow the yearly appointment to Milan. Of course, we will be in Milan because it's important, but to spread the presentations when the products are mature and ready enough to be presented and launched and be available to the market. Because how many times we see pieces that they're not ready, they're a bit not, the designer is not satisfied. You can order it in 6 months. So what happens now is that we decide to launch in specific areas, geographical areas, in specific ways, maybe just for with appointments or just like a certain targeted audience, or as we're doing here in videos. And I think it's a very smart and healthy way to bring further design today. Because I believe also that this principle is something that, as we see today, the world should take more and more. We should just make things and present things when they're mature enough, instead of having to run each year to present and present and present more items. When they're ready and they're good, then they're valuable to be outside in the world.
And Joost, what about you? Because obviously Dutch Design Week is usually a big moment for you.
Yeah.
And I know Dutch Design Week is going to happen this year in a smaller way, but how is this situation changing the way that you guys are working? Or do you just carry on? I was talking to Martin Baas yesterday and he said, it hasn't affected me too much.
Well, I think it affects us all, even in the way of working. And it affects us, you know, some bigger clients made some cancellation or delays in big projects. So it has a big effect. The thing is we try to be as creative as possible in this situation. And so we can stay on tinkering, even with maybe cheaper materials or other materials, or we want to keep creating, and we also want to keep showing the project. So during the Dutch Design Week, we're gonna open our studio, and it's gonna be smaller than before. So you need to, you know, subscribe and to get like a time slot to get in. But it will be possible to visit the Dutch Design Week for professionals, and well, that's the public we aim for anyway. So that's good for us. And we want to make a show that's also is about, you know, this period and about these teams. We think it's important nowadays, the craftsmanship, honesty, and the respect for materials and our profession. So we want to do a show about that this year.
And Gabriele, is there anything you can tell us, any upcoming projects that you're working on with Marcel, particularly in relationship to Moooi? What's around the corner, do you think?
We have quite some things on boiling up. We're going to have a new system, sofa system. I think we will launch in September. Very simple, very beautiful with accessories. So a bit very different from the BFF that we launched last year, the one with a bit of Capitano. And we have quite some other projects in mind. We had a lot of ideas for electro sandwich, so new ways of applying this technology. And well, for sure, you'll see more very soon. And I don't know when. I think we'll present also in a virtual way or in a store. We'll take a bit of time now to make it in the right way.
And in terms of technology, we talked about electro sandwich and the button. What else do you see will help the brand move forward? What other technological advances can you see? What other digital technologies, for example?
Well, you know, this technology is still evolving a lot, as I was mentioned before, the electro sandwich in detail, because of the power of LEDs. And as you know, all the technology within lighting is each year constantly changing. So we'll be able to have even more light and beautiful lighting within different structures. I think also we are looking into more in our project in the studio. We're looking in a few areas to really create something a bit more sustainable into the kind of furniture world. So with the feelings and with the different type of approach on how we can think that. And for sure, also the fact of the shipment and sending things around the world on such big boxes and shipping up. This is something that we also look as a studio, and Moooi for sure also is looking at it. I think that's kind of that's where we are now today, and yeah, that's what we're looking at.
And what about you, Joost? What is next for you and the studio? What are you working on? What is your vision?
So we're working on various projects for also brands, but also our own collection. And fortunately, we still have some things going on, so we can keep on creating. But they are all sort of in the beginning stage. You see now the last couple of months that it was really hard to develop something really further. So I think a lot of projects will be a little bit delayed, unfortunately. But I think, yeah, let's see what happens next April. I'm really curious what will happen in Milan if we still are able to launch new things, or if it's all virtual, or that that's going to be spread out throughout the year, like this launch is. Yeah, let's see. And I think this whole situation is shocking the world, and especially maybe the design world, and not be able to present your new projects. But it also brings new, creative energy, which I think we can use very good and very wisely, of course.
And Gabriele, now that Moooi has announced these two new products, what happens next with them? How do people get to experience them? How do people get to buy them?
Well, I think both projects are ready to market, available. They're on the website. They're already they have the price point. I think that they can be ordered already online, or I think in the stores, because also another smart thing that we did in few Milanos, that Moooi did a few Milanos ago, is that the day that we launched in Milano, the product was already in 16 stores. So we brought Milano internationally. So everybody in the stores had the same piece. So I guess that's what's happening here, that a lot of already stores and resellers has the pieces. So you're welcome to go to the website. You will see all the dimensions and variations and materials, and you'll see more about the technology. And so I think they're ready to be in your houses and ready to be enjoyed.
Great. Well, best of luck with both of the launches. Great to see you again, both of you. And Joost, I hopefully will be in Eindhoven in October, because we're hoping to work on a project with Dutch Design Week, which we're hoping to announce on Friday. So I hope to see you then. And meanwhile, thank you so much for doing this. Great to talk to you.
Great to talk to you.
Marcus, thanks to Dezeen, and thanks to you to have done the virtual design festival, because it's something that helped a lot of people to stay connected and to hear smart thinking and nice stories from everyone on the design field. So thank you for having organized that.
And I find myself in a very privileged position to be able to do these live interviews, because I've been able to talk to really interesting people, my friends around the world. So it's actually been a great platform for me to somehow replace all of the times we would get together in the bars around the world and so on and so forth.
Of course.
It's not quite as good as that, but it's at least it's something.
Lovely. Thank you so much then.
But let's do it for real next time, right?
Okay.
Absolutely.
Hope to see you in October then, for real.
See you soon. Thanks a lot, guys.
Okay,
Thank
bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye.